here we are on the Stream Deck app, looking at my Stream Deck Plus configuration. I figured I'd take a moment to just show you how I've set mine up. If you rather just look at the USB hub, feel free to fast forward the video. Otherwise, here we go. So I've actually divided my Stream Deck Plus in 3 pages. Those 3 pages correspond to before the stream, during the stream, and at the end of the stream. Before I jump into the pages, let's look at the pinned actions. I'm someone that uses Discord quite a bit. So for me, I'm pretty much using my dials exclusively for the purpose of adjusting volumes, because not everyone is as loud or as soft as they should be. So as a result of that, I just rather have that on my knobs to be able to configure that really quickly. But of course, you can do other cool stuff with the Stream Deck Plus when it comes to the dials, such as adjusting brightness levels, controlling your lights, etc., etc. So with these actions pinned, this means that these Discord volume dials will appear on every page that I have, whether it's the beginning of the stream, midstream, or at the end of the stream. Starting with page 1, let's just look at some of the things that we have on the screen. We have Stream Start, which is actually a multi-action action, I suppose. A multi-action key, if you will. You'll also notice that my icons are pretty much like retro neon style. A free pack available through the Elgato marketplace. So let's take a look at the actions that we have set up here. Very simple in my case. I have the system, by clicking this button, essentially just starts up the applications and things that I want on. So it launches OBS Studio. It also launches StreamerBot, which is something that I use to really enhance the streaming experience with automatic channel redemptions, etc., etc. I won't get into it. That's like a whole separate video. I also have this plugin by BarRater, which is called Windows Mover. So what I do here is OBS, I'm able to actually move and resize it, which is nice, so that when OBS opens up, it goes to the screen that I want it to, and it maximizes as opposed to being in a small screen. It's awesome. And I have StreamerBot minimized because I don't actually need that application open. I just need it minimized on the taskbar, and that's what I'll do. And last but not least, making sure that my Elgato ring light and key lights are on. Next, I have a start sequence. This is essentially a video that I play based on a scene that I have in OBS. So just switches scenes in OBS using the OBS built-in plugins. I also have a chat message that goes out to Twitch, just crediting the person that is responsible for creating that animation for me. Nice little touch. I then add a multi-action delay. So there's a delay between the message and also the animation before it moves on to the next scene, which I call PIP for picture in picture. And that's the scene where essentially I have my webcam, I have the game, and I have the chat showing up with my webcam being the largest, just saying hi to everybody and welcoming everyone in, essentially. So as you can see already, my first 2 actions here are actually multi-actions, and the power of multi-actions cannot be understated. You can do so much with that. I won't dive in too much on the next 2. Honestly, the next 2 are simply just some scenes that I have that I use a lot, essentially. I do have a push-up redemption reward, so it's possible that I'll click on that at the beginning of the stream if someone's redeemed push-ups at the very beginning, which can happen, so that's why I have it here. I have a go live button. Simply put, it's a long press to make sure I don't do it accidentally, but by long pressing the button, I won't do it right now because I don't want to go live. It will essentially tell OBS to start the stream. Is nice as opposed to clicking on it. It's just a small little convenience. Saves me maybe a second at most. Now I do have a separate lights button in case I do want to turn my lights off for whatever reason or turn them back on manually, as opposed to having a whole multi-action sequence that I have to go through with the stream start. So for example, if I want to turn it off, I'll do that like that. If I want to turn it back on, I'll press it again, and there you go. Very simple. Just having it there for the sake of having it in case I do need to do any on-off switches with the light at the very beginning of the stream. This sleep icon, honestly, this is more of an end of action thing that I do, but we'll get to that point later. It's just for me to put my Stream Deck Plus in screensaver mode. And then I didn't have any other actions that I really take at the beginning of the stream, so I just added a next page sort of action here. You can always swipe on the touchpad to move on to the next page, but I figured why not? I don't have any other additional action here. Might as well put a button there. Buttons do tend to be easier to actuate as opposed to a knob where you gotta get the turning motion. I keep saying knob, it's dials. I'm sorry, Elgato. But yes, I have that as an option here for page 1. So let me go ahead and click on that button. That brings us to page 2. Now, page 2 is where things get a little interesting because page 2 is arguably where I will spend most of my time on. Because page 2, if you remember, corresponds to while I'm streaming, essentially. So you'll see that I have 4 folders here and also 4 audio sources, essentially. First and foremost, I have main scenes, and I have just this little icon to get me back to the previous screen. Although, to be honest with you, I don't really need it too much because I have this set to auto exit. So if any of the keys are pressed here, it will essentially exit out of the folder. But in case I made a mistake and I clicked onto this and I was like, oh, wait, I don't actually have to be there, then I can just go ahead and click on that arrow, essentially. And then these are just some of the main scenes that I use in OBS. This is based on essentially my webcam placement. Do I want it to be in the top left, mid left, bottom left, top right, mid right, bottom right, depending on the game. I also have one for no cam, which is rare for me, but I still have it there in case I ever want to have like a no cam scene where I'm just not feeling up for it and I just go ahead and stream with no cam. I won't press any of these because I'm actually recording right now and I don't want to switch it up. So we'll keep it at that. Similarly, I have a folder for my full scenes, which are scenes where it's not really the gameplay that's the focus. For example, I have my picture-in-picture once again that we saw on page 1, my push-ups that we saw on page 1. I do have the additional BRB screen if I need to step away for a second. I do have like a BRB screen where clips play while I'm away. That rhymed. Then we have just my main monitors, my Dell monitor and my BenQ monitor, essentially if I want to show something on the screen. I have my full cam, which I don't use all that often personally, but if I ever want to just put myself, plaster my face on the screen fully, I have the option. And then I also have like a no cam ability here. Let's say if I wasn't streaming with a webcam, then I can go ahead and simply show something on my screen without having to show my face. The next 4 options are audio sources. And essentially I have my microphone setting in OBS to mute myself in OBS so no one can hear me speak. It's possible that I still want to talk to someone on Discord, but I don't want them to hear what I'm saying. So I'll put myself on mute in OBS. It happens on occasion, or I need to mute myself. I'm about to sneeze, all that jazz. Which is where party chat also comes into play, because then I'll be able to actually mute that channel. So if I don't want anyone to hear what my party in Discord has to say, then I can do it that way. And then also for myself in Discord, I have the basic mute and deafen functionality to be able to mute. Although, to be honest with you, when it comes to the mute, I do have a Stream Deck pedal as well, and that's what I usually use when it comes to muting. It's rare that I use the actual button itself. But what's nice about having it here is, let's say I press it on the pedal, which I'm going to do now. So I can still see visually that I'm muted on the Stream Deck. So it's nice. Of course, I can see it on Discord, which is on my other monitor here, but I can see it quick and easy on Stream Deck. So let me unmute. And then I just have some useful commands here. These are commands that I use often in a chat. I'm not going to go through all of them. They're all basically the same idea, where I have something set up to do a certain action, a certain command. I can always put the message itself if I wanted to in the chat. So by pressing this button, essentially it inserts this message into Twitch. That's what it essentially does. Now, of course, if I wanted to, I could just put the message itself. I do use Stream Elements for currently anyways when it comes to my commands. So what I like to do is actually put the message as the command, because I find it reinforces that, hey, this is how I triggered this action. This is how you can do it too, as opposed to just putting the message, because then people will be like, oh, okay, cool, this message showed up, but I have no idea how to trigger it myself. That's my preference. Although you can just put a message of your choice in there if you prefer. Lastly, I have sources and lights, and this is just some stuff that I like to turn on and off. I have gamepad source visibility, so sometimes I want my gamepad to be showing, sometimes I don't. Especially if I'm playing like on mouse and keyboard as opposed to controller, then at that point the gamepad is unnecessary. I can just turn it off. I do have a game filter that I often apply to games to give it a little bit more vibrancy, but if I find that I don't need it for a particular game, I can turn it off. Once again, I do have the lights in there, just in case I want to turn it off. I had it on the main screen, now I have it on my second screen. And if I want to hide my face cam for whatever reason, I can do that here. Turn it back on. Oftentimes the wife comes in here, it's her office on the side here, and she can go ahead and grab something, and I'm like, okay, let me just turn off my face cam and all that jazz. And just some other cool Elgato stuff that I can do with the face cam, such as zoom in, turn it black and white, and just reset. I want to go for like a dramatic sequence. And that brings us essentially to page 3. So page 3, I didn't really need too many keys, too many actions, similar to page 1, I would say. So as a result of that, I do have sort of like a previous page button if I want to need to go back to page 2 for whatever reason, and also a page 1 button if I want to just go back to page 1 at the very beginning. Then once again, I have some commands that I put out at the end of the stream, such as the credits, which will essentially show everyone that's followed, subscribed, showed up in the channel, chatted. I have my socials, the raid message, since we usually raid out at the end of the stream. I have my final screen here in OBS, my stream ending screen. So after I've set up the ending screen, I also have the stream end multi-action. Essentially here, I will tell OBS to end stream. I will tell the system to close OBS, close StreamerBot. I don't need them anymore. And the Stream Deck will then also go to sleep until I need it again. And last but not least, I've added lights once again in case I do want to, for whatever reason, switch things with the lights at this point in time. I just like having that comfort or that available to me because I actually do use my lights quite a bit, as I mentioned earlier, with channel redemptions as part of the stream. So, and then, of course, page 1 action to bring us back to where we began. And that's it. So as you can see, the power of the Stream Deck Plus and the Stream Deck in general, in terms of what you can do, is insane. Definitely take a look at the Elgato Marketplace for additional plugins. I barely scratched the surface, but hopefully it gave you an idea of how I set up my streams. And yeah, let's take a look at the USB hub.